Well, it's a great pleasure to welcome the Chief Executive Officer at Cascade, Cascade.cloud to be precise if you're looking for them on the World Wide Web. Kevin, it's good to see you. How firstly are you doing? And I'm sure that the last 3 months you must have seen some very interesting transitions to the cloud by organization. Has it been a hive of activity?
Thanks, Aki. Great to be with you as well. Yes, indeed it has. I think nobody saw what 2020 had in store, and those companies that certainly did and made sure that they were ready to be able to work remotely and had moved to the cloud really thank their lucky stars that they did. And I think those that didn't, really suffered as well during this time.
So tell us about Cascade.cloud, Cascade the company. What do you guys do exactly?
Yeah, so Aki, Cascade is a born in the cloud managed service provider. So we were actually started the company with no legacy technology, not supplying any legacy technology. It is all cloud-based technology. And essentially, we solve business problems and create competitive advantage for companies utilizing cloud technology. So in that, there's the whole process of transformation and digitization, and that work that we do with companies. In fact, I'd say that's probably our best part of the process that we really enjoy is when we work with a company to find out how they can differentiate themselves, and we create that competitive advantage using digital technology and cloud technology for them. And so it could be something as simple as migrating companies to the cloud, getting rid of their on-premise infrastructure that they have, moving to hyperscale cloud so that they have always on IT infrastructure, and they get rid of the hassle of running IT and worrying about servers and worrying about, is the server going to fall down in the next year, and then right through to advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, etc. All of those great things that
so basically you guys take a company that, and you know the cloud is really there's just so much out there, it can get quite confusing. You basically clear the clouds, so to speak, to get them onto the journey, the right journey with the right advice. I mean, you talk about South Africa and you talk about companies and the transition that they're making. Where are we, with cloud usage in South Africa? Has it grown exponentially in the last 3 months? Was it on that trajectory before? Where are we in South Africa?
Yeah, so we definitely were on that trajectory before, but over the past couple months, it's definitely increased as well. I think that with the landing of the hyperscalers in country as well, there's a lot of interest on companies looking to AWS, looking to Azure, and seeing what they can do with that and how it's going to help them as well. But if we had to contrast South Africa's use of cloud compared to North America as a good example, which is a very advanced user of cloud technology, there's not much of a difference in the percentage of people that are using cloud. What there is a big difference in terms of what people are using it for.
Yeah.
So if you look at what's advanced and what are the top things, RightScale or Flexera did a State of the Cloud 2020 report. And on top of that type of list of what are their priorities for 2020, people had things like containerization, they had things like migrating more workloads to the cloud, cost optimization of the cloud. And contrast that with my Broadband 2019 report, which asked the same question of South African audiences and said, what are you using it for? And what came out top of the list was backup and DR. So backup and recovery and those kind of things, which are really very early days use cases for cloud technology, because you want to create competitive advantage. So I think we're a bit behind the curve in what we're doing with it. And typically we follow about 12 to 18 months behind, which actually is a great advantage for us, because it gives us an opportunity to look at what's really working overseas, and it gives us the opportunity to leapfrog technology.
I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, you look at, look at how far we've come just in the last 18 months. We've got, massive organizations. We've got, their services here. So it's all local, etc. And I think that's changing a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, and more players coming into the market. But you talked about the different cloud use cases, and how do we fit in South Africa with cloud use cases? And then adding to that, when you look at the cloud, you talk about public cloud, you talk about private, and everyone seems to be going for that kind of hybrid model. Is that, is that the trend in South Africa as well?
I think with regards to hybrid cloud technology, if you're an enterprise user, you certainly will be utilizing hybrid and multi-cloud.
Yes.
So you may be using some type of private cloud for example, if you've got very sensitive information. You might also then be utilizing Amazon Web Services and Azure, and utilizing them both, or maybe some Google Cloud in there as well. So the enterprises like to manage their risk by utilizing the different clouds. When it comes to an SME and an SMB type customer, it's got a very large overhead if you want to go the multi-cloud or even hybrid route. You really want to decide which way you're going so that you can focus all of your energy and your time in that particular direction.
Oh,
so we are seeing a difference with that. In terms of the use cases, certainly if I was a SMB business owner, I would be wanting to remove this hassle of looking after my IT. I would want to move as much as I could into the cloud realm so that it is taken care of. I'm not worried about servers going down. I'm not worried about all my backups done. Everything is taken care of. And you can even take that down to the desktop level of using virtual desktops as well. So it lies in between those two kinds of use cases, and certainly there's a lot in between, and it's a process. It's not something that people click their fingers and suddenly they've moved to the cloud. They have to do the work to analyze it, and that's the journey that Cascade actually goes through with the customer, to plan it properly, to look and see what is appropriate to move, what isn't appropriate to move, and then help them along that journey.
So, I mean, in terms of Cascade, your company, which kind of cloud areas do you guys work in, for example? And, I mean, what are the benefits for me? If I was an enterprise or a small business, what are the benefits for me going via the Cascade route, for example?
Right. So enterprises that we work with tend to have a large team of their own cloud architects and engineers. So what we typically do in those situations is we work with them on particular projects. So it might be a machine learning type project. They might be wanting to look at customer churn. And predicting customer churn. They might be wanting to look at their machinery and their plants, for example, and look at predictive maintenance. So we can help them with machine learning models in order to do that. Or it might be a typical optimization of an operation system. So in those situations, it's really project-based that they would come to Cascade for, because they tend to have a lot of their own resources for the day-to-day type stuff.
Yeah.
And then cost optimization. So any company that's been utilizing cloud for some time knows that they get in on this curve that it increases in terms of use.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy. It's so easy to spin up a server. It's so easy to do a test and dev environment. No longer do you have to wait for these huge budgets to be approved. You can decide today that you want to do a new project and have the system up and running and start doing it. So the costs run away. And for those type of customers, we have a cost optimization practice where we analyze their cloud workloads. We come back with recommendations and typically save them about 20 to 30% of their expenditure. When it comes to SMB and SME type customers, some of them hand over everything to us. So they basically say, Cascade, you run it as a managed service. You look after all of our infrastructure, all of our servers, the workloads that are there. And then some of them will also create the applications. So we do cloud native development as well. Design applications that are designed for the cloud, that are designed for serverless technology as well, and really try to maximize the return that they get on their investment for it. So we design it in a way that will run most effectively. And typically these are done that if their customers are not using the application, they're not paying for it.
Yeah.
So it will scale with the company and grow with the company.
That's fascinating. I mean, so you guys provide like a complete turnkey service, for the journey to the cloud, and once you're there as well, to kind of keep that maintenance going and understanding exactly what your needs and desires are. I mean, there's big talk at the moment, big data, analytics, artificial intelligence. People are talking about machine learning, for example. Are South African companies using it? Because I really think that when you are in that cloud space, these things that I just mentioned, those are the things that make a big difference, and are those key differentiators for companies who really want to stand out from others and be more competitive, right?
Correct. I think the aspect of artificial intelligence is one of the most exciting areas in cloud technology at the moment. What the hyperscalers have done is they've managed to almost democratize the technology. Before, this kind of technology used to be the realm of only the big enterprise players who could afford these kind of things. Now what's happening is, for example, if you wanted to do a chatbot, and we've produced many different chatbots. We're able to do a chatbot within a period of about 10 days. You would have a working chatbot that is an artificial intelligence chatbot. It has the ability to learn using natural language processing, and it can be a verbal chatbot, and the same chatbot can be typing on your for typing input on your website. Now that used to be a big project, or if you're looking for an anomaly detection or a forecasting solution, they are now as affordable for an SME type customer as it would for an enterprise, because the enterprise is just going to scale that solution to a larger degree. So we love working with the machine learning aspects and the artificial intelligence, because it just gives you so much creativity with what to do. And I actually see IT as a creative process. It really is. It's like almost like you're painting a canvas, and it's only limited by the ideas that you have in your mind. So when we have a customer that wants us to take them on their digitization journey, it's a lot of fun, because you have that creative process that you go through with them to really reimagine their business and then bring it to life, and bring it to life really quite rapidly because of the cloud.
That's fascinating. I mean, Kevin, imagine this, whatever happened this year, with COVID-19. If it had happened 5 years ago, we'd be talking a different picture here altogether. I think that our economy and the global economy would have been in a huge spot of bother. But, the cloud has really mitigated a lot of the risk, and, helped with the business continuity that many organizations have today. Where do you see the cloud space in, say, 5 years from now?
Okay, so I'm a really optimistic individual who loves future technology. So I think we're on this rapid acceleration path. I don't know if you saw Elon Musk's Neuralink presentation the other night, where you had this little disc that goes into your brain, and I think we're certainly heading in that direction. So if you imagine now the cloud and the access that we have, we're already augmented individuals. We're augmented at the end of these devices here at the moment, but that augmentation is really going to go into our brain. Whether it will happen in 5 years, I don't think it's going to be in 5 years. It certainly will be within the 20 to 30 year time frame. In 5 years' time, I see us here having machine learning really pervasive throughout everything that we do. I think there will be very few businesses that won't be using an element of machine learning in their production, in terms of predicting what they need to order, predicting when their customers are going to be wanting things. We're going to have chatbots everywhere, because customer service is what is key, and this is enabling customer service. So we will have a lot of that. I think in South Africa, we will see companies moving past basic cloud use of being able to spin up a server and have my storage in the cloud, to really their containerization, and then onto serverless technology. So just for people who don't know what the serverless aspect is, if you can imagine, cloud has taken you to this level where you don't have to worry about managing the server. This takes it one step further, where you don't even care what is that server that's below it. All you're paying for in terms of granularity, you've gone for paying for a server per hour, per minute. And now you can actually pay only if the person utilizes that particular command. So if you think of Netflix and only paying for a movie when somebody watches it, that's the kind of model that you want to have. You want to minimize your costs as much as possible.
Quite extraordinary. Kevin Derman, those insights are absolutely fascinating. You are the Chief Executive Officer of Cascade. Thank you for joining us here at the My Broadband Cloud Conference. We wish you well, and thank you for sharing those fascinating insights.
Thank you, Aki. It's been great chatting with you. Cheers.
Cheers.